Hey everyone, this is Jack Williams with the Tallahassee Democrat and Big Ben Preps, and welcome to TierMaker. I don't know if you guys remember me doing this last year, right before the playoffs, right around this time. But what I did is I took all the area teams, everyone, all 17, put them in a TierMaker, and we broke down what their chances are about making the playoffs, not getting into the playoffs, and such, and all that type of crazy stuff last year. It did pretty well last year, so I thought we would try it out again this time with the 2022 slate. Got 5 different categories here. It's kind of simple how TierMaker works, but I'll run through it really quickly. You got your district champs. These are teams that are going to get instant bids into the playoffs. You have your at-large bids, who are teams that aren't district champs, but have proven to have a strong enough schedule and a strong enough record to get into the playoffs. At-large bids as well, who are the last in. These are teams that are just getting into the playoffs very narrowly. 7, 8 seeds, 4 seeds, 6 seeds. It kind of changes all over the place. First out, these are your 7, 8 seeds when we're talking about the smaller schools, the 6 seeds. I'm sorry, like the 7, 8 seeds when we're talking about rural, the 5 seeds and the 5 seeds and the 6 seeds when we're talking about 1S, and then the 9 through 10 seeds when we're talking about the bigger classes. This is the first out. And then looking towards 2023, these are teams that are really out of reach right now in the playoffs. It's going to take kind of a really big miracle for them to get into the postseason. But they're working towards 2023 right now. A lot of these programs are rebuilding programs right now. But let's just jump into it right now. We'll just go down the order to make things a little bit more random. So starting off, we kind of have to update this logo now because they aren't with Somerset Academy anymore. They are Jefferson County now, but I'm going to put them in looking towards 2023. This is a program that has a lot of great building potential. Norris Footman's coming in there. He's kind of a hometown hero of sorts. He's rejuvenating this program. There's excitement. There's a new attitude there. It's very different out in Jefferson County, but I think it's going to take some time to rebuild that. This year is definitely a rebuilding year. They have a big win over FAMU DRS, which is their only win right now on the year. But it's still a good stepping stone for them. You know, a lot of excitement. It was their first win in over a year after having that 2-win season last season, and then before that going winless. So there are good things to take out of this as well, but I don't really think this is a playoff year for Jefferson County right now. They could make a really late run here. Again, these are the last 2 weeks that we're in right now. They could make a really late run to make it into the postseason, but right now I just see them, preparing for next year and, preparing for the future. Gonna do this a little prematurely, but I'm going to say Rickards is our 3S2 district champion. So 3S2 is made up of Lincoln, Rickards, and Arnold. Rickards is been such a strange team this year. I believe they only have 3 wins on the season. Miami, Edison, Lincoln, and then there's one more in there that I can't remember right now. Godby. 3 wins right now. They're 3-5 right now versus a Lincoln team that is currently 5-3 right now. However, they won the game that they needed to win. They won the most important game of the season, that was against Lincoln, and whoever was going to win that game, considering just how down Arnold is this year, whoever was going to win that game was most likely going to win the district title. Now, Lincoln defeated Arnold 51-0. If we're using the transitive property, Rickards is going to get maybe even a bigger win over Arnold, but who knows? Rickards has had a very strange season this year of, winning games they weren't expected to win, and then losing games they weren't expected to lose. They've lost to Gadsden County. They lost to Navarre. Excuse that noise. I thought I put my computer on do not disturb mode, but apparently I didn't. They lost to Navarre. They lost to Gadsden County. They lost to John Paul II in the beginning of the season before we knew what the potential was with John Paul II. But at the same time, they beat Miami Edison, they beat Lincoln, and they got that rivalry win over Godby. So they've been very strange this season. So it's kind of I am a little weary putting them up there because you don't know what could happen with them because they're so unpredictable. But Rickards, I'm just gonna say for now, is our district champion right now. They're very heavily favored in that Arnold game. Another team that's probably going to win a district title is Florida High. This is a team that's sitting at 8-0 right now, undefeated. They've just blown through their schedule. Just look it doesn't look like anybody's really challenged them this year. And that's saying something considering the schedule that they're playing. They run over Madison County this year. They get a narrow win over Trinity Catholic, we'll talk about the number 1 team in 1S coming up, but is one of the top teams in 1S right now. Trinity Catholic, they have wins over Ponte Vedra. Godby. There's wins all over the board for the Florida High team. They're coming off of a win over then #1 rural team Chiefland. Florida High's looking really good right now. They just need this win over Mariana, who is, really struggling this year. Once they get that win, they're able to, pass go in monopoly terms and get that district title and get that bid in. So Florida High is in a very comfortable position. I do not see them falling down from a district champion position, let alone that #1 seed in region 1, unless Pensacola, well, I guess that's up for debate too, because they do play Lincoln. And if Pensacola Catholic does go undefeated, Florida High loses to Lincoln, there's a chance Pensacola Catholic could jump them for that #1 position. But right now, we're talking about getting into the playoffs right now. Florida High is pretty safe as a district champion. A team, surprisingly, that is going to be a last in my opinion, is Madison County. Madison County is having a very different year this year. You have a new head coach in place. You're dealing with a lot of injuries, but you're still playing that really grueling schedule that you're used to playing, excuse me. And it's really kind of eating them alive, for lack of a better word. Madison County, it's just they've lost 6 straight. They're 2-6 right now. It's not what people in Madison County are used to, but it's just because it's a rebuilding era. You have an entirely new coaching staff up there. You have new players that are kind of in a transition period right now. You have new talent developing. You have your starting quarterback out as well. And they've struggled as well. And this is also plays into a max prep system that determines playoffs, that really favors wins and losses and the records more than the strength of schedule. Madison County is debatably playing the hardest schedule in rural, but due to their record, that puts them down a lot. They're currently sitting at a 5 seed right now in a rural district number, I want to say 4. I can't think of it right now, but they're right now rural region, my bad. But they're in that 5 seed right now, and they really need this win over Rickards, or there's a possibility they could end up slipping out of the playoffs, and I don't know, that would not be good at all for them. So I'm going to put them in a last in right now because they are really teetering. A team that's probably going to settle in soundly with an at-large bid is Lincoln. We could see this start to trickle down into a last in based on their last 2 games. That Rickards loss really hurt, considering that they were basically in line to win that district title. Rickards came up and shocked them in a game that Lincoln was predicted to win. And now Lincoln's in a position where they played all the district games and they have 2 more games left, and it's debatably their 2 most challenging games of the year. You have Florida High in the final week, and this week Dillard is coming to town. Dillard not just being a power in South Florida, but being one of the stronger teams in the state. So Lincoln is facing a very tough 2-game stretch, and there's a possibility if they drop 2 of these games, they could fall into a last in position. They are currently holding on, and I don't know really what the rules are right now with district. I don't know if district teams are going to be able to host games in the first round. I heard they have. I heard they haven't. But right now, what the standings we're looking at right now is Lincoln is in that number 4 seed right now in their region right now, which is the final seed for a home game. And they're currently face St. Augustine. So I think these 2 games are very critical for Lincoln if they want to hold on to a home seed. But if they lose them either way, I don't think they're going to fall out of the playoffs. So I think they're safe with an at-large bid right now, and they're going to be fine. Another team that just jumped up into home field position in the first round is Aucilla Christian. They're looking really good right now. They're having one of the best years they've had since 2019. They are currently 6-1, I believe, right now. 6-1, 6-2, something like that. Just a team that really made a smart decision of moving down to rural/1A and everything, and it's really allowed them to jump out as a dominant program now. Especially talking about Jace Grant in there too. This is a kid that's rushing for over 100 yards every game. He's had a few games where he's rushed over for 200 yards. Kid's just a beast and is dominating the rural 1A scene right now. Aucilla Christian, they just keep winning, and that's what they need to do. They keep winning, and that was enough. Their win last week, I believe, was enough to get them over the hump against Cottondale. And now they're in the 4 seed and have the chance to are in the hosting position for a first round game. So if they just keep winning, I think they can hold on to that final hosting seed. In rural, the hosting seeds are 3 and 4. 1 and 2 get buys. They are in a very competitive region with a Sneeds team that's undefeated. Bluntstown is in that mix too. I think Port St. Joe is in it as well. So it's a very challenging region, but it's good to know that Aucilla Christian has some comfort at home in that first round currently. First out, as of this morning, with the new rankings coming out, it does get a little more, kind of difficult for Gadsden County to get in. South Walton is currently ahead of Gadsden County in number 9. Number 10 is Gadsden County, and then the number 8 team right now is Taylor County, and we'll talk about Taylor County second. Gadsden County just has a lot of ground to make up, considering I think they have, I want to say, like a 3-point window that they have to make up in order to get in. You can probably get some good points against Chiles. I don't know how much you're going to get against playing Godby. These are two teams that I think Gadsden County's favored against Godby in these final 2 weeks. This week they play Godby, and then that final week against Chiles is going to be a very competitive game, considering the type of defense Gadsden County brings and the type of offense and defense Chiles is bringing. But Gadsden County, I mean, there is a possibility that they can get in, but the gap is so wide right now, and the teams in front of them just continue to win. South Walton is going to continue to win, and Taylor County. Taylor County's Maclay coming up, and we'll talk about that matchup now because that's very critical for both teams there too. So we'll see what happens there, but Gadsden County, I just don't think they have enough, points. I don't think they have enough. I don't think they have the games. They definitely have the strength of schedule on their side, but as we mentioned before, this is a Max Preps FHSAA ranking system that ranks highly upon record, and Gadsden County only has 2 wins on the year. Usually the Gadsden County formula is build up a strong schedule, and that will get them in the playoffs. Unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's going to work out this year. So Gadsden County, I see in the one of those 9-10 positions as a team first out. Another team first out, and I'm going to say this is because they kind of got, I'm not going to say the SCREW word, out of the playoffs. They've been very misfortunate in the way the Max Preps and FHSAA system has been set up and the way their games have ended. Chiles could easily be a team that is, I think the math would be now they would be 10-1 right now. They lost a lot of 1-possession games very early against a lot of really good teams. They lost to Fletcher narrowly. They lost to Wakulla narrowly. They lost to Niceville narrowly, which would have been huge. Their only legitimate loss this year is against Thomas County Central, who is undefeated right now in Georgia. Chiles is a great football team, and it's so unfortunate that this team is probably not going to get into the playoffs. They're currently sitting in 13th right now, and they have not moved in 3 weeks, just due to everybody ahead of them right now. I said in the preseason, there was another game too they could have won as well against Crestview. That was very close too, and that was kind of the dagger in their playoff hopes, unfortunately. But it's been unfortunate for Chiles. They've played a very good schedule. They've played very well. They've just had a handful of games just not go their way. They're most likely going to finish out at 500. They had a big win over American Collegiate last week, and then they have Gadsden County coming up in the final week, which I think both teams are eager to win. So it's going to be interesting for Chiles. It's very unfortunate for Chiles for stuff like that, considering the senior class are graduating, and they're graduating debatably one of the top running backs in program history there in Travius Jones. But Chiles, it's, again, I just have to say it's unfortunate. All they can do is win out right now, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough. Another team that I think is going to slide into last in, and this is going to be very, very critical when we get to the end of this video and I assess Maclay, because them and Maclay are currently teetering right now on the playoff line. Taylor County is currently starting to build up a gap that's proving to be enough to get them into the postseason right now. They have a big win over Jefferson County right now, which was just more, padding into their effort. They're winning the games that they need to win. They've lost games they were expected to kind of lose in ways and stuff like that. So they're playing really just up to their schedule right now and what is expected from their schedule. Nothing really crazy. They're just executing, and that's what you need to do at this time of year, is just execute out your schedule and win, and that's what they're doing. And especially in a system where Max Preps favors teams that have winning records, Taylor County is proving to be that team. They're currently 1 game under 500, and they're hosting Maclay in their final game of the year in week 12. So they have this week off. But Taylor County, I mean, they're looking good right now. I think they can easily slide into the A spot if they win that final game of the year. And they could just settle down unless South Walton makes some sort of run. I'll have to see what South Walton is at right now. That is the team right behind them in the standings, and then right behind them is Gadsden County. So there's a chance if South Walton and Taylor County lose and Gadsden County wins out these next two, that Gadsden County could get in. However, South Walton is playing Mariana, and Mariana is struggling as well. Struggling this year. South Walton is currently 4-4. South Walton also has a North Bay Haven this week. These are two winnable games, I think, for South Walton. So I don't think the odds are high for Gadsden County. However, it's going to get very close with Taylor County as well. I think when you're playing Maclay, you need kind of a bigger win against the Marauders, and I think it will help that they're at home. But I see Maclay. No, I'm sorry, not Maclay. As Taylor County is a team that is sneaking into the playoffs. A team that's soundly in. Come on. Huge year for St. John Paul II. They have basically went out and cemented themselves as one of the top small schools, not just in the Big Bend, but in the state. This program continues to build year by year, and this was a huge step this year for them. They only have one loss on the year so far. They have 2 more games left against DRS, and then they have a huge game at the end of the year on the road against Cavalry Christian. Cavalry Christian win could propel them even higher, maybe into a top 4 position in the state. But they're just working. They're just doing what they need to do right now. They have a lot of talent on that roster right now. They're going to be a fun team to watch in the playoffs. And they're looking good right now. They're going to get an at-large bid. They're going to get that number 2 seed, I believe, in the region standings when we're talking about that right now. But there's a possibility they could get a 1 seed 2. And we'll talk about that when NFC comes around. But John Paul II is looking really good right now, and expect them to make a deep run in the playoffs. They're easily settled into a at-large playoff spot. A team that is going to be, and I'm glad I assessed this before I made this video. So how the systems work is rural is the first top 6 teams. 1 and 2 get buys, and I think I already explained this, but I'll do it again. For 1S, it's different this year. It's the top 4 teams get in from 1S. Nobody gets buys. It's just the top 4 teams. So a team that's going to be last in getting a team that is kind of going to 3 seed and is going to have to go on the road is Monroe. Monroe's playing a really hard schedule. They have a lot of talent. I've been saying it all this year and stuff like that. The big key for them is getting the talent to work together and to do something, to kind of find a collaborative effort and stuff like that. And I think it's slowly but surely coming along. I don't think this is something that's going to come along immediately for them. They're just booked with talent. I think they just have to, again, just need to find the system that works. They played a competitive game against Pensacola Catholic, that they ended up losing, unfortunately. However, showing that they competed against an undefeated squad and put up a sizable margin of points against them, I think that says something for Monroe, and it's huge for Monroe going into a big-time district matchup against North Florida Christian. If Monroe gets a win in this game, that would, I think, give JP2 the district champion spot. However, this is a game that favors North Florida Christian immensely right now. North Florida Christian is 9-0, coming off of a big win over Wakulla. But Monroe, they're at home, and if I think this might be their senior night. This is their final regular season home game of the year. If they pull an upset over North Florida Christian in this game, that gives JP2 like the green light to get that district championship, the green light for a home game in region playoffs. It would be huge if Monroe gets a win there. It would shuffle everything up immensely. And it's possible. I think this Monroe team, I think this might be their moment. Again, I just pulled up the stuff right now. This is a Monroe squad that scored 33 points against the undefeated Pensacola Catholic team. Granted, they had 49 points scored on them, so there might be some defensive woes and stuff like that. However, I think North Florida Christian is another team that scores a lot as well. So we might see a little bit of a shootout coming up on Friday. But right now, as of now, on October 26th, 2022, Monroe is in a last in position. They are currently sitting in that 3 position right now in the region, and I think they're going to stay there until something big might happen. If they get that win over NSC, or if they get a win over Trinity Christian in Jacksonville, we might see something very different from Monroe. Moving on to a team that I think things will go their way. District champion is going to be Wakulla. So the Big Bend in 2S has been split up into 2 districts. You kind of have the end that Florida High is in, where it's Tallahassee and everything west of Tallahassee, and then you have kind of outside of Tallahassee and everything east of Tallahassee. So the district that Wakulla's in is Taylor County, Suwannee, and Wakulla. The loss to North Florida Christian was really not good at all for Wakulla. You know, it's not a good loss to go into. Granted, it was a competitive game. You played well with your backup quarterback. You activated Xavier Blake. You were able to activate Samron Brinson, your wide receiver. You were able to get things going, but you just fell just short. It's still a loss, so it wasn't a bad loss, but it's still a loss going into probably the most critical game of the year against Suwannee, a team that is playing very, very good right now. Granted, I think Wakulla has a stronger schedule and has had a stronger journey to this point, but you can't doubt a Suwannee team that I believe has won 4 straight, is currently pushing up into a more comfortable position in the playoffs, and is just beat Madison County for the first time in over 2 decades, almost 3 decades. This is going to be a challenging game for Wakulla, but I think they can pull it out and might be a lot closer than they'd be comfortable with. But Wakulla, I see them as a district champion right now. I don't think Suwannee can catch them. I think this Wakulla team's still even deeper, even without their starting quarterback. The team that handed Wakulla most recently their loss, and just mentioned them with Monroe, who is playing, and this team is also playing a very critical game this week, is NFC. NFC really had a show me moment last week. They played Wakulla and won by, I believe, 3 points. It was a huge win for NFC. It's NFC's first win over Wakulla since going undefeated, I believe, back in 2011. I could have that year wrong, but it's the year they won state. That was the last time they beat Wakulla. And granted, there are some excuses as to why NFC won the game from what I've seen on social media and stuff like that, but I wouldn't argue that as well. This Wakulla team's, no, I'm sorry, not Wakulla. This NFC team's very talented. They're very fast, very athletic. The speed of Leon Washington Jr. is ridiculous. And then you have the size and speed of Traylon Ray, what he can do. And then you have just the unbelievable field vision of JP Pickles. That trio just to start off with is lethal. And then you have just everything else standing up. They're playing a huge game on the road against Monroe. It's going to be a good game. I believe it is. I think Monroe has been through kind of the grit of their schedule, and they've been kind of preparing for this game coming up and these last 2 games coming up. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. I think these 2 teams have defensive things they need to work on. So like I said, don't be surprised if it's a track meet, but this is a game that I think favors NFC, and this would be NFC's district championship game. So as of October 26, 2022, I'm favoring NFC to win this game and win their district championship. It's going to be very close. Monroe is still a team that can pull an upset, but as of now, NFC is the favorite in this, and that's going to give them a district championship. A team that is going to be a first out based on the system that we have in place is FAMU DRS. And I say this because the district system, the regional system that they work in with 1S is the first, again, I've mentioned this so many times just because I learned it today. The first 4 teams get in, and then everyone else is out. And by everyone else, there's 2 teams that aren't going to make it. And those 2 teams, as of October 26, 2022, are DRS and Rocky Bayou Christian. Listen, DRS, every year they bring a lot of athletic potential. The thing they always just need to look for is just organization. I think that's one thing they're looking for again. But I think this program just needs to just continue building forward and upward. It's been a rough year for them. They do have a win. Their first win, and I believe over 700 days, was against Brunson earlier this season, or Bronson, whatever you want to say it. So there are good things happening at FAMU DRS, but this is a rebuilding year, and due to the structure of the playoff system, they are going to be a first out. I don't know. So maybe do the structure of the playoff system, they might be able to build something up, and maybe next year we might see them take that 4 seed. I don't know what happens, but I think they have a lot of work to do over there. A team that is looking towards 2023 is Leon. They've had a brutal slate this year. And the teams they've played, they've just about played everybody, and they're in this absolutely ridiculous district of them, Chiles, Mosley, Niceville, and Crestview. It's been rough for them. They are currently 0-8. Their last win was over a year ago against FAMU DRS. And they've played a very tough slate. They've had, NFC, Monroe, Fort Lauderdale, Mosley, Navarre, Lincoln, Chiles, and Niceville. All those teams except for Chiles have winning records or 500 records. And then they're playing Crestview in this week, who is currently a 500 team, and then they play New Smyrna Beach at the end of the year, who currently has a winning record. Everyone they're playing this year is good. So just to say the least, Leon is not playing a cupcake schedule. They're playing some of the best teams in the state. They're in a development position. I think there's good things coming out of this year, but again, and similar to Jefferson County, this is a program that's looking towards the future and continuing to rebuild towards the future. I like what they have going at Leon. I really like Coach McGriff's vision. But Leon is right now, they're looking towards what's coming up next. I want to have a little bias here. I'm going to say Maclay is going to be a last in right now, considering I think the Taylor County game is going to be more challenging based on whoever Rocky Bayou Christian plays. Let me pull that up now. Maclay doesn't have a lot of games left either. And as I just said, I'm going to pull up Rocky Bayou Christian stuff. I mentioned Maclay, and I want to pull their stuff up, but I'm pulling up Rocky Bayou Christian right now. Why? Rocky Bayou Christian is the team that's on Maclay's tails right now okay. Well, that makes sense. So Maclay plays Rocky Bayou Christian this week at home. In my opinion, and this was probably how it's going to go, if Maclay wins this game, which they should, considering Maclay has played another brutal schedule, and they've kind of are starting to pick up some momentum now. Again, like I said, they played a very brutal schedule this year, and they've been through it, and they've been competitive in a lot of games. Based on Rocky Bayou Christian, who does have a better record, but is not playing as strong as a schedule, they should easily win that game. It's at home for Maclay too. I don't know if Rocky Bayou Christian, we're going to check now if they have any games after that. No, so it's basically win and you're in for Maclay. So it's not going to come down to the Taylor County game like I thought before. My apologies. But this is a Maclay team. If they win, they're winning, they're in. If they win this game against Rocky Bayou Christian on Friday, they get that final bid into 1S playoffs. As easy as that. And I think they were going to get it. Okay, made it a lot less complicated than I thought it was going to be before, but Maclay is going to be in. They're a last in team, in my opinion, just based on the schedule they have, and the fact that they're probably going to win that wild card game, if you want to call it. Anyway, onto our final team. This is another team that is building towards the future and stuff like that. Also, follow me on Twitter. Oh my God. Okay. Godby. Again, another coach that has a great vision going forward. This is a program that another first-year head coach and is looking just to rebuild stuff going forward and stuff like that. Godby, I think, I like Coach Jones's vision and what he has going forward. Christian Sims is going to develop into an insane quarterback piece by the time his senior year comes in. He's already fantastic. It's kind of hard to see that a lot of their wide receivers and their other offensive targets outside of Sims are going to be graduating this year, but I think there's some potential to grow here. It might be a little bit of a steeper growing route than Leon, but they still have some good things going at Godby. Excuse me, this is a perennial power, and I think they know how to get things back together as well. But one more thing I want to touch on too. We'll most likely have three first-year head coaches going to the playoffs this year, and that is Madison County's Price Harris, Monroe's Russell Ellington, and then Maclay's Jason Colley will all be first-year head coaches going to the playoffs in their first season. So that's an impressive feat in his own. But that's all I got for today. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram at THL Big Ben Preps. Follow us on Twitter, Big Ben Preps. Like us on Facebook at Big Ben Preps. Follow all our content. We're going to have all of this covered straight down the route. It's going to be an exciting football playoff scene, and I will see you guys on Friday.